So I wanted to do a rant-style channel analysis kind of video on a topic that has been brought up to me before, and I want to use this as a method to expand on ideas or explain to you what I don't like about certain things, primarily regarding the commentary community. I'll try to avoid petty nitpicks like DHT did regarding that stupid ImageGate thing that was started, but I suppose I cannot make any promises. For my first trick, I want to talk about how Doodletones is the most contradictory commentator in the community, and how they really shouldn't be seen as an inspiration, unless it's how not to commentate. I'm avoiding the stupid dramas within this video, because at the end of the day, they only show that Doodle gets into dramas, as not all of it is entirely her fault, this I can agree to. However, just looking at her massive commentary list, there are contradictions and moral double standards everywhere that really need to have light shed on them. I mentioned these in a comment in the comments section to my video on SketchTB, but I think a visual interpretation to exactly what I'm talking about would be better to get this point across. So let me begin with my first point. This does kinda tie into dramas, but it's the bigger picture here. Doodletones likes to parade around the idea that videos should not ever, be made in spite towards your target.
Honestly, the good commentaries of this year were absolutely phenomenal, being really cinematic, really in-depth, albeit really wordy, and left me wanting more with a smile on my face. But I cannot say the same about the worst of this year, as when it came to the worst it was people being at one another's throat for one arbitrary reason or another. And yeah, people will make those kind of mistakes, we're all only human, but seriously, more than half of this list was a visual representation of what this year was for everyone. Just people sticking to their guns and really wanting to shoot one another in a mass genocide. Can we not repeat that for 2017? I think it would be better for everyone if we didn't.
This should be a really easy moral to follow, right? Just, don't make a video on your target because you are angry at them. Be open-minded to what your target is saying, and try to find out what it is they're actually saying so you don't misinterpret the video as a person attacking you, as well as word yourself better, and overall keep your emotions in check. Doodle often parades this idea around as this huge, tremendously grandiose thing that people should follow, using the same moral again and again in final thoughts against her targets.
This is the perfect example of where, at least to me, commentaries fail. When you decide to sit there and constantly barrage an individual with insults because you don't agree with them at all without really any effort into actually addressing the point they make. When you give me no reason to believe that you didn't do this particular video in spite.
However, for someone who likes to push the idea videos shouldn't be made in spite, she sure doesn't follow that same advice when it comes to people either talking about her, or the commentary community as a whole, seen in the early months of 2017.
I don't understand this whole thing. I do not understand this whole fanboy mentality, like the fanboy mentality that Jar claims to hate so much that his own group also has.
Hold up. Pause. Just because Jar's group has a fanboy mentality by your own words, that doesn't mean he doesn't still dislike it. Hell, I don't like when fans of people go to a person to harass them, but I still have fans that do this, even after I put up my disclaimer telling people not to. Robot may not enjoy the fanboy mentality, he may not like a hive mind mentality, but he can't control what other people do. Other people are just that, other people. The most you can do at that point is just say that you don't support it and move on. Hell, you don't like the fanboy mentality, but just look at that echo chamber in the comments section. So, what's that supposed to mean, Megadirt? I know, this is an after-the-fact kind of example, but boy is it unfortunate. But overall, he did state that it was an issue that people would be quick to get on my case about things. And it shows. People like those who appeared on this livestream are actually good examples of this. And please note the word people so I don't have you guys continuing to twist my words and actions to suit your own narrative. I'm not saying everyone on that stream is a disingenuous fucktard who doesn't want to see me improve because that would imply they have a heart.
Now, I know she has later disowned these videos, but the fact that she put these videos out there with the ideology of spiteful video making being bad, is a major fault in her own morality. It seems it's only okay with Doodle to make a video in spite, when it is her that makes it. If Doodle honestly had believed, after 2016, that people should stop making videos to attack their targets, she would have avoided talking about the Manga Cayman livestream and Megadupe rant on the commentary community. Along with several other videos that were made later with the malicious intent of cutting the throat of their target. If this was simply a couple of isolated incidents, that'd be one thing, but like her Torch Sheep video, Her video on the film Theorists, or second video on Fluffle YGO would show us, she constantly falls into the box of wanting to make a video on a person because she's angry at them, which by her own moral compass, that she even paraded around for the worst commentaries of 2017 list, is bad. But the contradictions and hypocrisy don't just stop there. Point 2.
I'd also say pick your battles better, because Lord knows the beginning of this year was a problem with that on its own. And no, I'm not just saying that because I was the main target of mindless drivel and borderline transphobia for pretty much the entire year. The fact that the alt-CC shit even got as big as it did and stuck around as long as it did is exactly what I'm talking about. When people want to shit to stir and want a fight to break out, that's when we should start ignoring them and let them yell into the abyss.
Oh really? While the idea of stepping away when one wants to start a fight over petty shit is certainly noble, I can't even really give her that either. She lasted all but a month without talking about petty drama that was being out to be started. Afterwards, she and Master TP10 made a commentary on the Dark Commentator and DHT commentaries talking about this ImageGate nonsense. To explain, DHT commentaries saw people criticizing commentators for using a single picture for their avatar and made a video saying that people shouldn't do that, considering it's their style of editing. He made this a rule for commentators with the clear intent to get people to jump on one another's case about petty shit like this, wanting to start drama, at least in typical DHT fashion, from what I've seen.
And eventually it got so stupid that people forgot why it was enacted to begin with and why people were recommending for you to get rid of your black borders. It was so fucking dumb to where people thought that having a black background was bad or having a white background was bad. They just completely lost sight of what black borders meant. And for all the people that criticize Black Borders Matter, something new has arisen and I haven't really seen too many people complaining about it.
Honestly, good. We don't need everyone complaining about it. If there's an issue, fine, address it. But not everyone needs to make a video about the subject. This isn't the Brony analysis community talking about how one of their bigger members is a convicted pedophile. This is the much smaller commentary community talking about whether it's okay to use more than one image in a fucking video.
Dylan, Black Borders Matter lost its way because people started rallying against it, calling it a nitpick that doesn't matter and misunderstanding why people would bring it up as a criticism at all, and others using it as a stupid buzzword for anything that had black in the background. Hell, you even bring the latter up, so you should understand this.
DHT was notorious for wanting to start fights in the commentary community as he was, from what I understand, one of the founders to the alternative commentary community, who was a group of people out to start drama within the community, and Doodle and TP spent almost 40 minutes, giving him exactly what he would have wanted if he hadn't had left before they released their video, but we'll return to this point later. On the note of ImageGate, Doodle has, for a while, pitched the idea that there are no rules to commentaries.
The biggest problem with where the CC is falling, what with the Black Borders Matter and I guess this intro gate as Flipper is calling it, is that people are looking for a reason to bitch. With Black Borders Matter, it's mainly a critique on a person's presentation. With intro gate, it's a person challenging the notion that there are rules to commentaries and pushing oneself to the limit. If you look at each of these things from this mindset, the detractors become really pointless and awfully stupid because those people are really trying to shove the CC into a particular place where if you ask the community to change, then you are the villain. And that's really a problem. For those who wish to join the CC, don't worry too much about falling under a particular box. Find your own style and go with it.
Yet anytime someone commentated on Magical Pocky Usagi, she brings up the fact that their trolls are the main problem with the video, putting a rule to whether or no people can commentate on a troll or not and under which specific circumstances.
Why are you doing a commentary on Magical Pocky Usagi? She is old news. She hasn't been relevant since 2007, in August of 2007, so she hasn't been relevant for 8 years now.
Well, I suppose while that's true, you could have very well pointed out the fact that she's a troll, which you never do in your video. You just kind of point out the fact that Magical Pocky Usagi is outdated and irrelevant, which, as I said, isn't wrong. But here's why I point this out, and pardon the tangent I'm about to go on. I point out the fact that pointing out Magical Pocky Usagi as a troll would be better because for the sake of this argument, let's just say that she isn't a troll. The question then becomes, does she still stand by the video she made 8 years ago? I mean, sure, there's no way of knowing for certain as her last video was made in 2009, but again, let's just say, for the sake of this argument, she does. She still stands by the video and thinks it's one of her best videos. At that point, you can still point out flaws from the video to debunk something that they still stand behind. Pointing out the fact that Magical Pocky Usagi is a troll is better on the basis of, This shows that you shouldn't take her videos at all seriously, and doing a commentary on it only gives her what she wanted at the time. I know this seems to go against a lot of what I've commentated on in the past, and I know some people may call me out with some previous targets shown on this channel, but the difference with Sonic Master 16, EMG Rants, and Pikachu Gamer, some of my prime examples of this, is that Sonic Master and Pika were commentating on people who I eventually pointed out were trolls, and in the case of EMG Rants, it was a video that was impossible to tell if Sailor Moon Red 1 still actually stood behind, as Google Hangouts could very well have updated in the time frame of half a year. My overall point, though, is pointing out the fact that Magical Pocket Usagi isn't relevant isn't actually giving them something to work off of, especially considering that you don't at all dive deeper into this point and just kind of give Astro-chan here the tip of the iceberg. So I guess it's a roundabout way of telling you to try again.
Listen to all those rules she places on the commentary community. Can't cover a video people don't stand behind. Can't cover people who are a troll because they're not serious. What kind of logic are you pitching here, Doodle? Again, I know she has gone on to argue against this stuff, but give it time, she may go back on it again and say that people can't cover trolls. It would have been one thing if she made this a constant point that she liked making against people as a recommendation to not do videos on trolls, but about a week prior to her Sean S video, she and Mills Koi did a video on Lord Huguenot, who had to be the most obvious troll that ever popped up in the community, as he outright refused to make points against his target, Nero's Q.
It reminds me that one Flash game over at Newgrounds where you have to kill the Powerpuff Girls. Yeah, I can show you in the link below.
God damn it, I knew I should have upgraded him to Windows 10. Alright, where to start? You mean to tell me frickin' Nero's Q decides to show his distaste for the Powerpuff Girls by hanging them, and you, in all your wonderful glory, decide to go, hey, that reminds me of a Newgrounds Flash game. How is this an interjection? How are you real? Are you real? Is Ryan real? Have I been talking bad about a figment of my imagination to another figment of my imagination?
Point 3.
If I were to give you the objectively worst commentator that came out this year, it would probably be Fluffle Yu-Gi-Oh! As he made videos pretty much on nothing but spite, constantly ignored points that were laid out on the table, and talked down to his opponents constantly with an ego that practically screams, I know about more Yu-Gi-Oh! Than you.
The projection here gets really real. To explain, Doodle one day in late 2016 made a video on a guy called Rank 10 YGO, and every time people would try to bring up a point against it, she would do a video on them defending herself. This series of videos was called Defending the Departed, and she did 4 or 5 of them, with the most egotistical of the bunch being the second one on this Fluffle YGO guy, because doing one on him wasn't enough.
God damn, Doodletones, I thought you would know this. There's a difference between giving your opponent something from your deck and giving them something from their deck.
It's funny because, no there isn't. At least according to your own logic of why Departed wasn't good, being that you have to give your opponent a monster that could be used for Synchro Xyz or something else. Did you forget you were the one that originally made that claim? Even then, I can bring up cards like Grinder Golem, Volcanic Queen, or Nimble Musasabi, cards that at face value give your opponent a card that benefits them in some way. Oh, they can get a card that benefits them in some way. Let's ignore all the potential strategies because there's no way this is a strategy game. Let's take it from the top. Defender allows your opponent to draw a card. With a card like Appropriate, you get free 2-card draw from that. You do know cards like Shield and Sword, Weapon Change, and Inverse Universe exist, right? As far as that goes, Magnum Shield. It's also a card. He can be a great wall beside Protector of the Sanctuary or Skill Drain. He can be a great counter against Lightsworn, seeing as it forces them to go through their deck quicker. Hell, with 3 of them on the board, that could devastate a Lightsworn player's mill strategy. Combine that, if you will, to a card like Greed, and your opponent will take 1500 damage a turn. And combine that, if you will, to Magical Thorns, Enervating Miss, or Anti-Spell Fragrance to slow your opponent down and or deal more damage to them. On the topic of counters, this guy forces Infernities to have cards in hand, something they don't want. Hell Poemer has your opponent discard a card from their hand during each of their battle phases, which could force them into a potential situation where they have to toss cards Defender gave them. Hell, Masked Hero Darklaw forces them out of 2 draws as their second draw would go immediately to the grave. All out attacks plus Ojama Trio equals profit. Hell, this card in Ojamas in general equals profit, given Ojama Country's effect. Gee, learn anything yet?
Doodle often comes off with a bit of an ego in these Yu-Gi-Oh! Based videos, regardless of if they're right or not, because honestly, I don't know or care about Yu-Gi-Oh! To call her out on any of this stuff. She still has a very mightier than thou attitude throughout her videos. yet she'll get onto this fluffle YGO guy's case for the very same thing. Doodletones is often a hypocrite in these instances, these small things like her Art Chapman video, where she got onto Art's case for padding out his video before going on to do a video on Umbris that's full of the same thing. These are things that, while I don't like, I can admit to being small. The most infuriating parts are how she deals with criticism. Oftentimes, when Doodle gets critiqued, she'll slap a disown stamp on her commentaries and consider them bad videos, despite the fact they're still monetized. I could maybe give it she's too lazy to fix it. It's one thing to admit to your faults and actually make an effort to never do them again, it's another to admit to your faults, do them again, and act like the first time never happened, but it's another entirely to get a small amount of backlash and admit to your faults then because you want to actively avoid being criticized. Doodle very oftentimes does the latter, as she will often get onto people's cases for bringing up old examples to how she can be an idiot.
He never said that it wouldn't do any damage. He just said that it wouldn't do enough to destroy the world, idiot.
Yeah, that was a problem with my point. I had misinterpreted what Jar was saying all throughout the video and in turn kept arguing that these Pokemon would cause damage instead of straight up destroying Earth. This, by all means, is a valid point. Such a shame that I learned that in May of 2016, whereas this is November of 2017, so this point is redundant and wouldn't do anything towards my recent content. Unless you by chance wish to actually tie it into that, which you're gonna do, right? Right?
She obviously thinks someone covering old videos people no longer stand behind is in fact a problem, but going back to the video with Master TP10, the dark commentator disowned that video prior to Doodle's commentary, and DHT left outright, so neither of them stood behind the debate that was had, and Doodle even acknowledges this.
Now Dylan, I honestly don't expect you to take this criticism, if for no other reason than you recently left commentaries. But this video is an awful problem I saw when it came to Black Borders Matter, and Joshua Colbyhouse and Blaze the Movie Fan also made videos relating to the topic, so I honestly don't care.
On top of that, just a bit before, she made a video on Kablom Bandicoot who made a video he obviously doesn't still stand behind given that his video was deleted, also something Doodle acknowledges before doing the video.
This seemed to have been posted in the wake to my video on Enter, so this thing has gone under the radar for approximately a year. However, given that no one has covered this video, so no one has brought up the actual problems with this video, and there are certainly new issues with Kablam to bring up given this video, despite its vague age, I'm still covering it for the sake of pointing out problems. And of course, riff on it a bit. If the video's deletion from Dailymotion is any indicator, I don't think Kablam still stands behind this. There's really nothing indicating that this wasn't just taken down for other reasons, so I don't know. However, this comment that I was able to screenshot in December may be an indicator that this video is still, you know, a thing.
So it seems to be okay to do a video on someone's disowned videos when it's Doodle doing it, but when it's something that can discredit her, it suddenly becomes a huge problem that needs to be addressed as a big, huge thing. It gets even more infuriating when Doodle uses this same tactic, of bringing up past shit, to show how much she has taken criticisms from people, despite how long ago this shit was, and how much she has gotten better from her past misdemeanors.
Textbook signs that Doodletones is a social justice warrior. Congratulations, Doodletones! You single-handedly destroyed the commentary community with your sick desires along with your refusal to take criticism and seek help.
I'm just gonna leave the seek help part alone, as that's pretty much a sure sign you've run out of stuff to say about me. Now, as for my presumed refusal to take criticism, may I remind you that what these people were putting in the comment section wasn't criticism, it was simply blasting me for daring to call out Mr. Medicare and support people's right to have a fucking king. When I see legitimate criticism, I either leave it be or I take it into account. You're talking to a person who took actual criticism to better myself when I first joined the commentary community. It was actual criticism that got me where I am today.
This is fucking stupid! You cannot take any goddamn criticism. You can seriously label these motherfuckers as sociopaths because how dare they criticize me?
I can't take any criticism. Until I do, right? Oh, let me count the ways, Master TP10, Jester Robot, Mr. Medicare.
Once again, only in a positive light is her old stuff valid. To pit her efforts, she still refuses to take any form of criticism. That kid Douglas made a video on Doodle explaining other faults with Doodle, her shady behavior, her inability to take criticism, how she wants to be in a safe space of ideas. He's got a lot of good points in that video that Doodle would never know, because she's even stated she didn't care to watch it. Once again, avoiding criticism.
What are thoughts on that Kit Douglas's video on me? I think he doesn't understand what throwing under the bus means. That seemed to be one of his bigger things. On top of that, some of his evidence used is either woefully outdated or incorrect in general as to what throwing under the bus is. Like, one of his pieces of evidence, looking at his description, was self-destructing mud hole. But that goes back to how he doesn't understand what being thrown under the bus means.
Which is really irritating when she pitches off this idea that people should listen to the criticism she gives.
Well, yeah, a lot of these issues return in his videos on Panda Star and Night Tie-Dye, and admittedly they didn't get any less tedious in either video. I was still hoping that Plushie could have at least gotten better from my last video covering the guy. However, it seemed that quitting commentaries was much more of an attractive answer to him.
Doodle is a walking contradiction, and it severely bothers me that she can't seem to be criticized without having people jump on their cases for attempting criticism. Hopefully you people will hear me out though.